This is a 175 horsepower. So it's decent sized.
So you've seen bigger than this?
We have bigger than this, yeah.
Oh
But what's funny, you know, that's the other thing I tell guys, like you come and you're intimidated by the size, but the reality is once you've worked on one, you've worked on them all. They all operate exactly the same way. It's the same as a car, right? You can have a Pinto and you can have a souped up car.
Yeah.
Even though the souped up car does more, the operation of an engine is the operation of an engine.
Yeah.
It's just modified slightly, right? So it's the same thing with these. The burners are a little bit bigger. The type of flame that goes on side is a little bit bigger. It takes more gas, takes whatever. But the reality is it's all the same. They fire the same way, they run the same way, they do exactly the same thing. So on this job, what happened is we were gonna put, so if you look around here, when we take the old one out, the new one sits on this plate. And what happened is the old one leaked pretty well and it rots. And so when we put the new one in, if it's too rotted out and we run it, it'll leak. So we were gonna try to steal the studs off the old. We brought a new plate and we were gonna put a new plate here, but I didn't think it was worth it. And we just can't reuse those studs. So he had to actually run out and buy new studs. They're gonna weld new studs on here and then we're gonna push the new one in. So typically we don't wait 40 minutes in between. We're not waiting for it to cool, we're just waiting for parts. But typically, like I said to you earlier, on a job like this, if it wasn't all rotted out and all the studs that were here that mount that plate on it were good, we'd already had the new one in and starting to pipe it back. But like I was talking to you about earlier, we run into discrepancies like this. Like you think it's gonna be a quick and easy job, you got a bunch of guys waiting around now, and this is just the nature of the game sometimes. Sometimes it's like this, sometimes you're waiting around, you know? Basically, so this is a water feeder. That's really all it is. I mean, it looks grand. The reality is when the boiler always has to have a certain amount of water in it. So what this does is mechanical. It has same as the unit on the other side, there's a ball inside of here and the water level in the boiler comes down. It opens up a valve inside of here and feeds the water automatically in. So constantly keeps whatever water level, because I need a certain level in the boiler at all times to keep the hot water going, for the heat in the building, everything. So this basically assures that as long as the valves are open properly, which is a whole nother conversation, it'll always maintain this water level right here, which is indicated basically by this line. It's somewhere between here and like 1/4 of an inch higher. And I set it, so we install these. When we first install the boiler, all of these things are an absolute necessity. This will go in, the components I showed you on the other side will go in. Everything you see here basically has to be installed day one. Some buildings I have don't have these. And when you don't have it automatically feeding water, that means that a person has to come down and open up these valves. So like, that's just simple stuff for regular people to understand. It's just a regular ball valve. When you see it long ways like this with the piping, this is the open position. When it's closed like that, that's the closed position. So sometimes I'll come to jobs, they'll tell me the boiler's not working and we'll walk in. And so you see everything they make this dummy proof, okay? This is an arrow going in. So the water is fed from my cold water here, comes up in here, feeds through here, and when the valve opens, so when the water's low, it lets water pass through. When the water is where it needs to be, nothing happens. And then it passes back down to the boiler. Day in the life.
Day in the life.
G. Michael, man, of GMAK.